How's it going, everybody? It's been a little while since my last video, but I wanted to talk about something that's been discussed on and off over the course of the season. It's especially relevant now because MVP voting is coming up, and there was an article released last week that some people use as ammunition against this person. If you don't know who I'm talking about yet, I am talking about Jensen. He is a player who had a fantastic split, leads the league in a lot of categories, but his DPM is lower than a lot of those other stats, and people use that as one of the main arguments to kind of criticize him. So I wanted to take a look at that. If you take a look at his DPM, he is tied for the 4th, 5th slot in the league. DPM as a stat is horribly biased to a couple factors, such as champions that you play and game time. So if we take a look at Jensen's most played champion, it is Orianna. If you look at Orianna's average DPM from games around the world at the pro level, she's actually only the 11th highest of mid laners with at least 10 games played, which means she's overall actually relatively low damage. Jensen has 17 games on her, by far his most played. If you look at his peers above him, most of them are playing higher DPM champions the most, such as Talias, Corkis, or Syndra's. So it's not that surprising at the end of the day to see him with lower DPM. Last week, Riot put out an article introducing a new stat called damage rating. This was touted as being a better individual metric of a player's ability to deal damage because it takes into account such factors as champion pool, as well as time spent near other enemies and a whole host of other things. Now, Jensen is still only ranked 4th in that as well, so a lot of people continued their argument over Jensen with this. Having read the article a number of times, I do think it is a better individual stat, but there are a handful of problems that come with it. First, the actual formula is never given to the public, so we have no way of knowing how all these variables tie together to produce a single number. To make matters even worse is even if we did have that formula, we still don't have access to the specific data that's being used in the formula. I can't tell you if Jensen's DPM is only 4th because he doesn't actually deal as much damage, or maybe he spends too much time around champions without dealing damage, or perhaps C9 plays too bloody of a game style. I have no way of answering these numbers or providing any sort of context. And if you've ever heard anyone talk about stats in League of Legends, they talk about how important context is because League of Legends is such a team game. Damage rating ends up so obfuscated from the public that we can't use it because you can't work with a number you don't understand. DPM, while much more biased, is also way more clear in its biases, so you can try and work around them. This is all before getting to the actual biases of the stat, one of which is shared with DPM, and that is game time. Cloud9 are almost tied for the fastest game time with only 1/10 of a point separating them from the other two teams. When you look at the average win time, they're actually a full minute and a half faster than anyone else in the league. What this would indicate to me is that Cloud9 ends games so fast that they end up in less late game team fights, which is where carries deal the most damage. What I'm getting at here is you can't really use damage rating, and when you look at the biases of DPM, they actually work in favor of Jensen. Now, if you're gonna dig into stats and try and provide context, you can often find an argument to defend a player, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Jensen's the best damage dealer in the league. But he is one of the better ones, and even the stats support that because he's never lower than 4th. When you look at his other stats, well, he leads the league in kills, KDA, death percent, gold difference at 10, XP difference at 10, CS difference at 10, CS per minute, and kill participation. Now, it's theoretically possible for a KDA player to lead the league in a lot of stats. You would just need him to be very good on a team that wins a lot, and he's the primary carrier of the team, so he receives a lot of resources, and I can see a world where that happens. But there is no world that KDA player leads the league in kills by 50, almost 25% more than the person in 2nd place. It's such a ridiculous lead. There's no way this guy is able to find that many kills while playing safe and trying to avoid deaths. And when you do the most important test, the eyeball test, Jensen is constantly making impressive plays. Just thinking about stuff from this week, I mean, there are a couple of instances where you can maybe say he might have been able to do more damage, but the dude is a playmaker on a different level. He has a killer instinct and can smell weakness anywhere in the rift, even when his team has given up the chase. At the end of all of this, I'm not saying Jensen is the only choice for MVP. I can appreciate different perspectives, especially when you take into account narrative and the compelling storylines that Smithy and Ole have had. I'm just saying that it's time to appreciate the crazy season Jensen has had, and it's no way that he is a KDA player. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you want to see more stuff like this, and I'll see you guys this weekend for the promotion tournament. I've had to record this 4 times because the audio kept messing up, and then I was out of focus a bunch of times, and if it doesn't work this time, I'm completely done with it.